Welcome to the Ask Dr. Tommy O Show. The Ask Dr. Tommy O Show takes a holistic approach to our community's healthcare needs and concerns. I am your host, Dr. Tommy O. Today's show, bullying. Coach Ray Quadrado of Brotherhood Boxing Gym invited both Janet, Cardi, and I to speak to his student athletes on this topic. So sit back and enjoy the show.
Generally, it works out that you're either the victim of a bully or you're the bully. And that's sad news that so many of us come in contact with bullying issues. But they're prevalent. You know, in the news, there are people that are taking their own lives because of a bullying issue. You know, let me ask you a question. Have any of you witnessed or experienced bullying issues? Has anyone ever been exposed to that? Right? Raise your hands if you have. Right? You've never been exposed to a bully? Okay. You just don't raise your hand. That's no problem. Okay, I have. And let me tell you, it affected my life profoundly. That's how come I decided to learn how to box. So I'm talking about between the ages of 5 to 10 years old. I lived in a bad neighborhood, and I was exposed to little crews and gangs of guys that were trying to rob me, because back then I was a short, chubby, four-eyed kid, bookworm. So now, you guys know me now, you know that's not the case, especially when we spar. All right? You guys remember me very well, but that's what motivated me to learn how to box. But on the other end of that coin, I learned how to defend myself so good and deal with bullies, and I was very confident that I actually crossed over to the wrong side. I went from the guy that they picked up all of a sudden to being so confident and sure of myself that now I started bothering some of the guys. And I started calling them names. And guess what? I became the bully. Now, I thank God that I didn't have a good experience when I became the bully, because I realized I had a sense of morality that came crashing down on me, is that God favored me when I defended myself or others. But I did not have that favor. In other words, I didn't win the fight when I was the bully. So I learned something very important. That kind of behavior was not going to be tolerated, not by the public school system, not by my parents, not by my friends, and definitely not by my God. As you know, I'm a firm believer in God. All the music we hear in the gym is God related. So, you know, that's my gift to you. I don't want you to come in here and be more bombarded with the messages of the street. I'd rather you know that we have a moral foundation. And it's good for you to know it. Is not, the law says you can't do certain things. But God goes even higher and says what we do, be it good or bad, is a behavior that's acted out. But what's in our heart is more important. Right? And if you, before you ever act anything out, you can have bad feelings in your heart. Those kids that go and they commit those atrocities at schools, some of them are victims of bullying, but they deal with it in a bad way. Now, I had to learn how to deal with it. You know, how do you deal with bullying? Can I ask you? Anyone want to share how they deal with bullying? Let me ask you another question. How are you supposed to deal with it?
Tell someone higher
That's correct. Now, the solution for bullying, according to our school mandates and the law, is to report it along the chain of command. If you're in school, if you're in the gym, then you go to your coach or your teacher. If that doesn't work, then you go on to the principal or the head coach. See? Bullying could go on in many environments. It could go on your block. It could go on in school. It could even happen in the gym. I hope not. And if anybody caught bullying, you have to go do 8 rounds with me. All right. So that's something that it can happen anywhere. But yes, one of the things is reporting it to someone you trust. We as adults are supposed to help you be in a position where you can grow and flourish without being threatened and harassed. Right? Now, the culture is against that reporting. What's the saying? Snitches get stitches. And so, but it's not snitching. Right? Snitching is something a lowlife does. I participate in a crime with you, and I snitch you out so I don't have to go to jail. That's snitching. But hold on a second. You heard him, I saw it all, and you were in the wrong, and I tell? That's not snitching. Okay? That, in fact, that takes more courage. It's easy to say I'm not getting involved. It takes more courage to get involved and to do the right thing. Okay? So I hope that each and every one of you here are here to learn how to do the right thing, both in the ring and outside the ring. Now, what other ways can we deal with the bullying issue?
Ignore.
What was that?
Ignore.
You can, but what happens when you ignore bullying? Sometimes it gets worse. I'm going to tell you the way I learned how to handle a bully. I punched them dead in the face. Now, can I tell you something? That usually handles the bully. However, when you have a no tolerance policy on violence, and you went through and you reported the issues, now guess who's the violent person? You are. And so oftentimes, the person retaliating or defending themselves against a bully is the person that gets in trouble. So now, let's be real. All you guys are trained assassins. You're learning how to fight. So is it fair for you to beat someone up in the street or in school? It's not fair. Okay, if you want to fight, I hope, let me know. I'll sign you up with USA Boxing, and we'll go win a tournament right away. And Junior's been with me how many years? You got about 9 or 10? Somewhere along there?
Somewhere.
All right. Is Dave here? Okay. So, you've been with me many years, and you asked me, you're a coach, when can I fight? Yeah. All right, so you want to fight? I know you've asked me, and if you ask me a question and you want to compete, that's fair fighting. 2 guys sign up, they compete in the ring, that's the way to do it. There is no honor in a street fight. Even if you win, I've had a lot of guys that come, they train, and then they learn how to defend themselves, and then they become active, overactive in defending themselves. Oh, well, coach, you know, he said something, or he looked at me wrong, and now all of a sudden we're being over aggressive. We don't want to take it like that. Let me tell you, if I was to hit everyone that offended me, I'd never get out of prison. You understand what I'm saying to you? Because we're always going to have people that look at us the wrong way, they have something to say, they have a comment, they're stepping on our shoes by accident, they're looking at our girlfriend, they're saying something to our mom, our sister. So violence is not the answer, right? That should be something of a last resort. I hope we all are on the same page with this. You know, you're here to learn how to handle yourself in the event of that last resort. Don't make it your first resort. Any questions? Any comments? Janet, you care to add?
About the whole issue of bullying, yes, there's a lot. There's a lot that.
Come up here.
Let me come a little closer. Well, you know, and it's an interesting topic because I I think we've all experienced being bullied, or someone we know who's been bullied, who's constantly being bullied. And you know, knowledge is power. And when you understand that you can do something, you're empowered, that makes a really big difference. Now, for some of us, everyone knows what bullying is. You can raise your hand, it's okay, you're in a safe arena here. There's no real answer, and I'm not going to ask you, give me your definition of what bullying is, and then we're going to grade you. No. Whenever there's an imbalance, right? An imbalance of power, that's a great definition of bullying. Someone taking advantage of someone else. Okay? And bullying, of course, now today has a whole different definition when you have the whole issue of social media. Somebody says something terrible about someone else in the internet.
Or posted a video.
Or a video. Or someone shows a picture of someone else, falsified word. Or alters, yes, a video. Or we get bullied, someone takes your money in school, somebody picks on you, someone takes your coat, someone likes you what you're wearing, you know, and they do it over a long period of time. That's bullying. Sometimes people don't say anything because fear is a big factor. But remember, what we're trying to promote here is knowledge. Knowledge is power, and that you can do something about it today. I know there are some very sad stories where there's some people who feel like they couldn't do anything, and they felt that their only outlet was to take their lives, or to cut themselves, or to take pills, or to make it go away. It doesn't go away. That's a permanent solution for a temporary problem. Every problem in life can be resolved. Don't ever feel like you cannot resolve a problem in your life. Don't ever feel like you're powerless, because every one of us have a voice. And we're here to encourage you that you do have that power. Each one of us have that power. And I remember my first experience being bullied, and I was bused to school. It was a long time ago. We were busing. We had to take a bus to school. It was in another location from where we lived, and we were being bullied because we were the smaller girls in the school. And I didn't want to get off that bus. I told the bus driver, I'm not getting off. These girls are going to beat me up, you know. But thank God that I was able to tell my parents when I got off that bus, and they resolved it in the school. And the principal, you know, called the parents. Today it's a little different, but it's still bullying nonetheless. There's someone taking advantage of you. Whenever you feel threatened, whenever it's an issue of power, one has more power over another person. That is not acceptable behavior, and you do not have to take that. Okay, so I encourage you. That's why we're here today, to talk about this issue that is so prevalent today, everywhere you go, at every level. Okay? So any questions? Comments? No?
Well, Miss Janet will be here twice a week on Thursdays and Fridays. If you feel comfortable or don't feel comfortable talking to any of your parents or to your teachers or any in particular, Miss Janet is here. She has a master's in social work. She's done this before for many, many years in different schools in the city. So she's here available for you on Thursdays and Fridays. If you need special days, just let her know and she'll come here for you, okay? Yeah. And you can also speak with Ray, Coach Ray here. You could always speak with Coach Alex, and definitely Big Coach Ray here, okay? And you guys know Brandon and Dave as well is available, okay? Thank you.
Now, if you would, let me just present to you, I have a special guest. He's a friend of mine. He's a ringside physician who also always helps out USA Boxing when we have our shows. He's a personal friend of mine and a wonderful person, and I really feel privileged to have him here in my gym today. His name is Dr. Tommy O'Brien. Thank you, sir. If you would say a quick word to the kids.
Sure. This is going to be a hard act to follow. It's two beautiful presentations. Some of the material was already covered. As Coach just said, Coach and I, we have a 10-year relationship. That's how long we've known each other. So I've been involved with the youth for 10 years. And so I understand, and being an athlete, I understand what you guys are going through with your training. I still train. I'm 50. I'm in a gym. I don't box, but I'm lifting weights. And I love it. That's just my lifestyle. So to get to today's topic, bullying. So we have bullying, which we already, if you understand what bullying is, and then we have also a new term because of technology, cyberbullying. And basically it is bullying using technology. So what's technology? As just mentioned earlier, social media, but it's more than that. It's texting using your cell phone. You can say mean things or take pictures, spread things about people instantly by just hitting send. And you know how fast this information spreads, because once one person, it's going to be send to all your friends within a matter of seconds. So you have to be careful what we do today, what is said today. So you have bullying, which is either physical, mental, and then cyberbullying, which is again could be more mental, but it's also spreading verbiage, language. It could also pictures. If someone's in a compromised position, I'll give an example. 3 years ago, it's about 3 years. 3 years ago, we had a college student, a Rutgers college student, had a roommate put a camera in his room and took pictures of him, and doing a specific act. It was behind closed doors, which was really no one's business other than the individual that was participating. Well, it spread real quick, and this student, he went into depression and ended up committing suicide. So that's another form of cyberbullying, using something against someone of power, and then using that power against someone who feels they're weak. Now, how do you feel weak? Well, either physically weak or psychologically weak. Here in the gym, we're building sound minds and sound bodies. So when you look at yourself, you have good, strong self-esteem, positive, you feel good. That's why we're here, for health reasons and to feel like champs. Why? Because that's going to spread into your academics. Believe me, the more focused you are in the gym, it will translate into your grades. We know for a fact that if you don't have good grades, you're not going to be able to glove up. That is a fact in this gym. I know it because I speak with Coach. In order to get in there and box, all right, we didn't say fight, we said box. There is a difference. You have to have good grades. But taking that same discipline, dedication, determination, diet, and sleep in the ring, that applies in academics. All right. So getting back to cyberbullying and bullying. Well, we already know physical, mental, all right, and psychological as well as pictures. You have to be very, very careful today. Everyone has a camera, so especially now you guys are being trained the proper way. You have a gift. We're all blessed here. Not everyone has what you have. You have a beautiful gym here. There's a lot of youth out there that don't have half of what we have. And believe me, you have a lot. So take that and understand that the discipline you're learning now, it is a skill, it is a gift, and it can be dangerous if used inappropriately. So before someone pushes your buttons to the point where you're going to throw, step back, take a deep breath and say, listen, I have a future here. I can go. You have older brothers, right, because you're all family here, that go to the Golden Gloves. They go to college. We have a few pros that came out of this gym. And through the United States Amateur Boxing, we have a lot in the New York Metro. We're dominating when we go to the national level. How many champs do we have this year?
In the U.S. Championships, we
Yep.
have at least 3.
Right, that's just from here, from the Metros. One day,
New York, yeah.
right, one day that's going to be one of you. So look at each other. One of you has the same opportunity to go that far, working hard. So you have to be careful what you do. So make sure if someone is pushing your buttons, take a step back and say, I have a future. Because if you go over the line and you hurt someone, you're going to have a different future, something that you don't want. All right? You're going to have bars in front of you. Instead of having A's, we're going to have bars. And we don't want you, and that's why we're here, to protect you, to educate you. Physically, emotionally, spiritually, you can see what Coach does. Spiritual healing. It brings you to the next level. Believe me, both Coach and I were spiritual. You know, we speak often, and it's a part of our life. And just taking that and applying that in every aspect of your life, and you're going to be champs, whether it's in the ring or outside, you know, every day. Because that, you know what, when you get older and you have a family, you're going to apply that to your family. So there was, Coach, he mentioned something, responsibility, but also about if there's an issue, how to address it. Well, what I said, because I'm a physician, a family physician, when I have like pediatric patients come in, and I explain to them, if there's an issue, how do we handle it? What you do is have a sidebar. You don't want to make it obvious because then people know that so-called rat. We're not looking for that. What you do is step off to the side and have a sidebar with your teacher, your principal, or your parents, and make sure you tell them right away. Do not wait a week, because that's a week later. A lot of things happen. So what you do is privately have a conversation, or come to the gym and you speak with the coach, because we can handle it. We can make the necessary phone calls and get the people who need to be responsible to take the responsibility and go to the school and speak to the principals. We have the community affairs officers. We go right over there, and they'll go right over to the school and address this with the principal, and we'll handle it. Do you guys know signs and symptoms of someone who's been bullied? Yeah.
One symptom, I think, would be depression.
Good.
Low self-esteem.
Excellent.
I guess that goes hand in hand with low confidence.
Right. Excellent. Excellent. Well, what happens is when you're being picked on, and bullying is not just necessary just one time. Typically, it's someone of power empowering someone that they perceive weaker. And one way to reduce the risk of being bullied, positive self-esteem. A bully is not going to want to pick on someone that has a positive image. When you keep your chin up, chest out, and you feel good about yourself, you dress well, you walk with this positive energy, an aura about you. This is what we're building here, self-esteem, feeling good about yourself. A bully's not going to want to mess with someone who feels good about themselves. They always pick on the weaker person because that empowers them, makes them feel even bigger. It's not. They're really weaker because they're picking on someone of not their level. So what we see is someone, all of a sudden their personality changes. You're starting to see them all of a sudden become very isolated. You're going to see their body language change. They don't go out as much anymore. Their favorite activities. Let's say if they're a boxer, they don't show up anymore. They stay home. They stay in their room. They don't socialize anymore. They start to go into a depression. They don't talk to their parents. They might not even go to school. If they do show up to school, their grades start to decrease. That's a whole complex. It's multiple levels. It's very complex. So what you need to do is just look at a person that you know. If you start to see changes in their behavior, you have to wonder what's going on. What you can do is you can ask them, and if they don't say anything, you can come over to coach or to your parent and say, I think something's going on with so-and-so because I see their behavior change. All of a sudden, their academics is going down. It's obvious. We know who's doing well in school and who's doing poorly. It's obvious. We all went through it. And if you see like someone who was having A's and all of a sudden they're failing, they're cutting classes, they might be starting to get into drugs or they're starting to drink, something's going on there. If you know them, you speak to them. If not, you can speak to your teacher. Like I said, you can do it after hours, during lunch break when no one's around, and have a private conversation. If you see something like this, or the other thing that's most important, in my office, I'll ask my even adults if they have what we call suicide ideology. And do you know what that means? That's a fancy word for suicidal thoughts. So if someone's thinking about suicide, either they're talking about it or they actually have a plan, that is a medical emergency. And if you hear one of your friends or someone in the community, a schoolmate, family member, that needs to be reported immediately. You speak to your parent, you speak to the teacher, your counselor, coach immediately, because that is a medical emergency. If a patient came into my office with those complaints, I have to call 911 and send them to the hospital immediately. So that's how important, and it needs to be addressed immediately. So now we know, you know what bullying is, you have an understanding of what it is, there's cyberbullying, bullying, you know what your responsibility are and how to handle it, and personally try to avoid, try to deflect if you can. Last resort, we always say don't start it, but if you must, finish it. That's just something that I grew up with. Everyone has a different philosophy. I'd rather, protect yourself, but don't go out and start threatening people, because you have a skill here and you can really, really hurt someone. And now you know signs and symptoms, and especially when it comes down to depression and how to handle and manage that. Medical emergency, reach out to your family. All right, any questions? Okay, I know it's a lot, but this is where we are. We're here for you. Remember, we're family, all of us. You're all in this together. You help each other out, even though it's an individual sport, but when you're here, it's a team, because you're helping each other push each other to the next level. And that's physically, mentally, and academically. So if you know one of you guys is struggling in let's say math, and someone is strong in math, help them out, because you're helping each other, because somewhere down the line, someone will end up helping you. And that's what the brotherhood, that's why your gym is called Brotherhood, right?
Amen.
You're working as a family and as a brotherhood to advance yourself in life, because believe me, what you're learning here will help you in your future. All right, thank you.
Let's hear it for Dr. Tommy O. I just want to add one thing, because I became a boxer because of a bullying incident. Now, I just handled it quick. It was a 1-2, that's all I had to do. 1-2, that's all you got to do. That doesn't mean, oh, this guy bullied me, let me pound him until it's done, but ashes on the floor. Don't do that, okay? Because you will get in a lot of trouble, all right? And I don't want to, I will go visit you, all right, when you get locked up, but don't make me go there. I'd rather go congratulate you, you restrained yourself, okay? Thank you guys very much.
I hope you enjoyed this show. The topic of discussion continues to affect our community. Please be proactive and watch for signs and symptoms of bullying and report it. I would like to remind you, current and/or old shows can be seen at www.youtube.com/Dr. Tommy O. Again, thank you for your continued support for the past 10 years. God bless.